Today's episode is brought to you by the Packwood Locker of Packwood, Iowa, Henshaw Trailer Sales of Richland, Iowa, Smithburg Auto of Fairfield, Iowa, and the Cedar Rapids Titans Arena football team, which you can see all their home games on Round Guy Radio. And we will be starting next Sunday, 5 o'clock, with a game against the Midwest Raptors. We've got Coach Marlow of the West Burlington Falcons. Welcome to the program, Coach.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Well, it's been a while since I talked to you, and we can't talk about everything, but there was three big games that you had since I talked to you last. Let's start with the Central League game. I think that kind of propelled you forward a little bit in the rankings. That was a very critical game there. So tell us a little bit about that game.
Yeah, so Central Lee's been playing well, and we didn't play the best at Central Lee. Got beat by 25 points. So and I knew it when we played down there that wasn't our best performance. I know that we can play better, and we matched up pretty well against Central Lee, and we held them to their scoring. Their big guys held them low, and we just had scoring all across the board. Just two guys with 11, three guys with 9 and 7. So I mean, we passed the ball around. We spreading the wealth a little bit, and defense led to good offense that night.
Well, that's terrific. Tell me a little bit about what I mean. How did that affect your standings? That win.
So that win, it didn't secure a fourth place finish in the conference, but it pretty much did. We just had to have Holy Trinity lose to Mediapolis, and
that was overtime or double overtime. That's how it is down there in the south side in the Super Conference. I bet there was 6 or 7 overtime games in that whole conference's games there this season. So you get the fourth place finish, and we'll talk about how that affects your playoff seeding and who you've got and where all that stuff is in a little bit. But there was another game that was a big game, and that would be the Super Conference shootout game with Waco. Tell us a little bit about that game.
So it was kind of funny. So Central Lee got the 3 seed, so we had to go down to Central Lee since they hosted. And, coming off of a performance there where we didn't shoot the best, we didn't play the best, turning the ball over. Again, we didn't play our best game offensively, but man, we played some outstanding defense, and I preach to my guys that sometimes that the shots aren't falling. Make up on the other end of the floor and get some defensive stops, and run the offense, run the shot clock down, get a shot up. If we can get some easy baskets inside and hold them on the defensive end, we'll be just fine. We outscored them in the first quarter 17-5. And then in the fourth quarter, we outscored them 3-13. So just 8 points there in those 2 quarters. Just an unbelievable job defensively. They've got some players that can play. Holden Hughes.
Yeah, he's a good one.
He can play. He can play. I mean, they've got a couple other guards that can shoot around them, and then they got the big fella inside. So,
did Stafford play? They told me they've been starting him and stuff. I call him the bearded mountain.
Dude, he's a big man.
Isn't he? I mean, I don't even know how athletic he has to be. If he stands there in the paint, what are you going to do? I mean, how do you possibly get around him? And if you run into him as hard as you can, you're just going to bounce off.
Yeah, I think we had that happen a couple times.
He's got to be the biggest player. I mean, Jackson Clark is in that neighborhood, but I mean, great kid. I love the kid. He was a terrific football player. I think he just came out for basketball maybe this year or last year, but he never played basketball until his junior year ever.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely a big force, and they're very balanced. You know what I mean? They don't have a superstar other than Holden Hughes, probably the very, very best basketball player they got. But, the other guys are very capable, and some nights they shoot really good and some nights they don't. But you get the win there. Anything else about that game you want to talk about?
Yeah, you just Aiden Figueroa again led the way with 16 points and 8 rebounds. Silas Lotzow, sophomore big for us, finished with 14 points and 13 rebounds. So, had himself a night on the board, on the glass, getting some down low buckets, just working his tail off.
All right. Well, we mentioned overtime games and deja vu overtime game again last night. Now you get a big win over a Mount Pleasant team that's been playing very well in the second half. I don't know, was it a single overtime or a double overtime win? Tell our listeners about that game.
Yeah, so it just went one overtime. It just about went to a double overtime, and I did not want that game to go to a double overtime. We were in foul trouble and we were getting a little exhausted, so I'm glad that we finished it out there. But yeah, Mount Pleasant, the record is 9-10. That does not reflect on how those guys play. They play hard. It, you know, Coach Rawson's got a really good squad. He gets his guys to play really, really tough defense. I mean, he's got a couple of guards that are shooting over 40% for him behind the arc. So we went into that match, knowing that they've got the two shooters, but they also got the three big fellas inside, 6'5", 6'6", and 6'7". So, we were worried about their size to begin with. We patched the paint and in a 2-3 zone, and they came out blazing from three, knocked down the first 4 or 5 threes, just all in a row, all 5 possessions, didn't miss a shot, got out to a 19-4 lead, had to call a timeout. And we responded well out of that timeout, closed the deficit, and just worked our way back into the game, crawling and climbing and scratching, doing what we can to try to get back in, hit some shots, played some defense, you know, went man to man there for a little bit and switched some things up. That way their shooters weren't getting open looks defensively. On the big fellas inside, we were just having rim line and help side. But other than that, our bigs played wonderful last night again. Aiden Figueroa finished with 16 points. I mean, I don't know how many rebounds he had. I haven't got stats yet, but Silas Losell again, another guy with 16 points. So, and they both worked their tail off inside against their size. And our guards did really, really well defensively. We had a 2-point lead there with about 15 seconds left in the fourth. They called it a quick timeout, ran a play for their best player, Isaiah Lang, and he just went to the basket, made a good move, and a really, really tough finish to tie it up to send it to OT. And then from there, we just outscored him by one.
Well, sometimes that's all you got to do. But well, I've got some breaking news for you here, Coach. Due to your tremendous season, we have here at Round Guy Radio named you the first year Coach of the Year. How about that?
Perfect. Thank you very much. I
Well,
appreciate it.
you totally deserved it, and it was a 100% unanimous decision from all the people that voted. Tell us a little bit about your first year as a coach. Did it meet your expectations? Were you ahead? Were you behind? Do you feel like at the end of the year, you're a much improved coach than you were at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I learn stuff every game, and to be honest with you, I learn stuff every practice about my guys, and night in and night out, I just try to get 110% out of my guys, whether that's practicing, whether that's in the film room studying, game nights. I obviously I expect 100% effort, but we get better in the practices and the off days of watching film and studying, and that's where I expect my guys to learn and grow. And you never know coming into this season. I didn't know what I was going to have varsity wise, but I had these guys the last couple of years at the JV level. And I know their playing style, and I know what they're capable of doing. And none of these guys really had, minus Figueroa, didn't have any varsity experience, so I didn't know how they were going to come out and handle it. And they've done a wonderful job, and I couldn't be any more proud of these guys.
Well, I'm agreeing with you on what you're saying there. Tell me a little bit about the JV season. Now, I was told you had an incredible JV season last year. You and maybe Coach Tremmel there in Sigourney had some of the better JV records in the state. Do you tell us how much developing players on the JV squad from last year and the year before help contribute to maybe some of these 1-point wins?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And the guys that are playing this year are the guys that helped me out last year. A couple of sophomores, Silas Lotstow, big man down low. I'm Casey Brown, my point guard. Just handling the ball with pressure night in and night out, and he can shoot it very well. Pretty well. doesn't do it a whole lot. I would like to see a little bit more out of him offensively, but he takes care of the ball when he needs to. And then another guard is Sam Zhao, a junior guard that comes in and plays some really tough defense. Played JV for me last couple of years. Prior Bowen, another guard, lengthy guard that can do a whole lot for us. All over, take care of the ball. He can shoot it. He can play inside if he needs to. And then Ari Jennings, a guy that I had the last couple of years down at the JV level. Last year I didn't have him. He sat varsity and was waiting for his turn waiting for his number to get called. Didn't happen. But this year I think he's really bloomed with the lack of experience that he's gotten. I know that he could shoot it. I know that he could handle the ball, and I just gave him the opportunity, and I came forward and said that you got to do what you got to do this year, and he responded really well. I mean, I honestly can't be any more proud of these guys for the effort and the hard work that they've put in.
Well, it seemed like we got a couple games of yours on this year. Were you in the Holy Trinity shootout? I think so. Yeah. Okay. So we got at least a half game in there where I kind of got a little familiar with your players, and then I wanted to tell you that the game with you at Holy Trinity was the highest rated game by about 300 viewers this year. Over 600 views of that game. I know there's not a lot of coverage down there, and I think that we kind of, if you were, if you're east of Mount Pleasant, there's a wide viewership, probably the only game that was on. And we have a tremendous fan base there with West Burlington. So you're a very popular team, and very popular over here, and we couldn't be prouder of how you played this season. But let me ask you about the schedule that you played. How well has that prepared you for the playoffs?
It prepares us really well. With all the tough teams playing, three big schools, Keokuk, Fort Madison, or actually four big schools now. Fort Madison and the scrimmage ended up beating those guys. We lost to Keokuk, preparing us for a big. BHS, they've got quick guards and a couple of shooters that prepared us. And then Mount Pleasant with guards that can shoot really well and bigs. And it's a confidence booster last night win for us. Going into playoffs, playing those big schools, and even playing the smaller schools, like Burlington, Notre Dame. It's a wonderful team. Coach Keys has got a really good team over there. They've got some guys that can play. Shea Stevens can play. Got a couple of guards around him. Night in and night out, anywhere in this conference, any game that you play, you're going to get the best of these guys, and you just never know what the outcome's going to be of these South games.
Yeah, well, all those are tough. You don't have your non-conference schedule when you're playing Mount Pleasant. Stuff like that is tough enough. But even I think if you put Van Buren and New London in the North, they might finish fourth or fifth up there.
Yeah.
And they've got some good talented players down there. So there ain't no nights off. But when you're playing Holy Trinity, you're playing Mediapolis, you're playing Central Lee. That's anybody's ball game in all of those excellent teams. So you're ready to go to the playoffs. Let our listeners know who you're going to play in the playoffs.
We have Cardinal of Eldon for our first game. That will be at West Burlington. We did end up getting a 4 seed or a 3 seed. So, happy with that. And then the winner of that game will end up playing Central Lee at Central Lee. So, hopefully we can come out with a win on next Monday against Cardinal. And then it'll be Central Lee that Thursday. So, got to get to the first game first. Always never overlook your opponents, and we got to get through this first game first.
All right, you got a game with, well, tell me a little bit about Central Lee. I didn't get down to see Central Lee. The only real game that I watched of theirs was that shootout when they played a very good Pekin team that had won 11 games in a row. They were 12-1 in the second half. They wound up beating Winfield Mount Union last night on a buzzer beater. The team was they were smoking hot, hotter than a pistol, but they just couldn't deal with the height and they just. The thing I saw, Central Lee is really good at rebounding. You played him a couple times. I think you split with them there. What is it about Central Lee that was so tough this year?
They have Giant Swanson's done a really good job with the guys that he's got, and I know I've said that a couple times, but he really does. He does a good job with them. Got a couple senior guys. The big man Hayes. If he gets down low with the back to the basket, he's pretty unstoppable with that point. They've got a couple guards that can shoot it. Yeah, got a couple guards that take care of it, and handle the rock for them for a little bit. They've got some role guys that just do their job, and they do it. Very very sound. Like you talked about the rebounding. The rebounding margin every game this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, in the double digits in the plus for those guys. They crash the board offensively, defensively. They just do their job, and they run their offense very very well, very sound and effective on the offensive side. So it's a tough team, especially playing down there in their gym. Something about that gym, man. I tell you what, it's a very very tough place to play.
Well, you're not going to get any argument out of me on that specific charge there.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, you feel like you're ready for the playoffs. You got a pretty winnable game in the first round, I'm going to tell you. But in the second round, it looks like you have to buckle up your seatbelt, and it's anybody's ball game. I think. Well, let's kind of talk about some of your players overall for the whole season. I would imagine Figueroa probably was among your leaders there. A big fan of Silas Lotso. He just that name seems like something you'd see on an 1880s wanted poster there. But he's gritty. He's tough. I can't believe he's only a sophomore.
Yep.
Wow, he's a big guy, and he's all season long mixed it up with the big guys like Jackson Clark and other, and Lane is a big feller and an athletic feller, and this Hayes, which I've decided, I like to give out nicknames. I'm going to call him Willie Mays Hayes from that movie Major League, I think was it called. But anyway, what are you going to have to do to be successful in the playoffs?
uh, you know, just do our thing. Nothing out of the ordinary. Don't try to get too fancy when running the offense. Play sound defense. You have to rebound, and we have to take care of the ball. I've been stressing it all year. We've got to possess the ball, and no turnovers. If we can get easy baskets, I'd much rather have that than late in the shot clock trying to force something up. But we've done a pretty good job of doing that with our role guys coming in and taking care of business.
Well, you took really good care of business. Let's quick go over the players. Tell me about your starting players, from Figueroa to Lotso and the rest of them. Tell us a little bit about, what their role was and how well they did it.
Yeah, so Aiden, we'll just start with Aiden Figueroa, senior, 14.8 points a game. And that'll probably go up a little bit since he had 16 last night. So I would, 15 points a game for us. Done a wonderful job. 8.4 rebounds a game. Shooting the ball 3-point wise really really well. Hasn't really had that role the last couple of years playing varsity, so he's been able to do it and knock down some threes. Just shooting 38% from three for a big fella is pretty effective. So we got him. We got another senior guard, Ari Jennings, 7.4 points a game. Just a role guard for us, doing his thing, taking care of the ball, shooting it when he has to. Another guy that's shooting the ball really, really well right now at 36% a game. And then we got Casey Brown, another sophomore guard for us, our point guard, 9.2 points a game. Another guy that's shooting the ball pretty well right now at 34% from three. Just taking care of the ball, hitting shots when he needs to, making the right reads and passes. He's a pass first guard. He loves to get his assist up, and I love to see that out of my guys. Pryor Bowen, a junior guard, 5.6 points a game. Hasn't been shooting the ball the best, and I know that he can shoot it. Just got to get his confidence up. But it is a tall, lengthy guard, can stretch the floor out a little bit, can play inside when he needs to, and he plays pretty good defense. And he rebounds the ball pretty well if they put a guard on him. Then we got Sam Zhao, junior guard, just plays wonderful defense. He's a defensive specialist guy, just does his role in that regards.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. We got a couple other big guys that come in just enough for us,
fill some minutes for us. Austin Bates comes in, junior guard, comes in, fills some roles there. Hit a couple big shots last night, actually. So, these guys are playing well right now. We just got to, fine tune some things going down the final stretch here.
All right. Well, you were a JV coach last year, and you had maybe even an undefeated season or an incredible season, one way or the other. How was the JV last year, and what do you see maybe some of these players that are going to develop into good varsity players?
Yeah, so last year we just had the two JV losses, both actually on buzzer beaters. One at Central League and one at Keokuk. A wonderful job at the JV level of getting these guys developed. Again, this year, record didn't really show that we had a good year, but sometimes it's not about the record. I got these guys, coming in wanting to already get in the gym in the off season. It's good. It's trying to build this program, the surrounding guys, just trying to get them in, and trying to build these guys and get these JV guys up to the varsity level to grow and just to be better basketball players.
Well, I've already asked you all the questions I can think of, and a couple of them twice. I don't have anything else for you, Coach. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
I don't have anything.
All right. Well, we've been talking to the first-year Coach of the Year for the West Burlington Falcons. Thank you so much for taking a little time, Coach Marlow, out of your day, and I appreciate all the time you gave us this year, and we're wishing you very good luck in the playoffs.
Yes, thank you very much, and I do appreciate the award there. I couldn't be any more proud of these guys, and thanks for covering us and giving the phone call and having me on the show.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, I got a military background. I spent my youth in the military, and we don't give anything away. You earn it, and you earn this award completely. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, thank you very much.